it's always a bit worrying when the CEO of a multi-billion-pound international company is using the stuff that you're responsible for. The time I discovered he was having a Zoom call with President Zelensky was a little bit nerve-wracking, yes.
Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. Another great customer journey story this week. We talked to Andrew Wigmore, who is service owner for Teams at BAE, a large defence contractor, 65,000 E5s, 41,000 engaged Teams users. And we talk about his journey through the organisation, an amazing journey from working on things like fighter jets to owning the Teams service, their Teams rooms, their Teams phone, their migration. Really interesting conversation. Thanks to Andrew for taking the time to jump on the podcast. And also many thanks to Ribbon, who are the sponsor for this podcast. Really appreciate all their support. On with the show. Hi, everybody. We are back on the podcast. Welcome back. We've had a string of really interesting customer conversations, all different sizes and verticals and scales. This is going to take some beating for scale, certainly, I think. Andrew's first time on the podcast. He's definitely a familiar face in the UK and Europe in the community. Andrew, you just want to start by introducing yourself?
Of course. Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody. Andrew Wigmore. I'm the Teams product owner at BAE Systems. Whenever I introduce myself, other people are introducing themselves. I've been in the company for 3 years. I've been with the company it'll be 40 years this September. Started off as GC Avionics back then, became GC Marconi, GC. It's been lots of different names, and we merged with BAE back in 99. So BAE Systems. And in that time, I've done a lot of different things.
Yeah, that is an incredible run. It's amazing. We were doing the prep call, and some of the stuff you've done before you got into our space is fascinating.
And it was never the plan to stay that long. So I started off as a trainee computer programmer when we shared one VT220 terminal between two of us. One desk on the phone between four people. That was a long time ago now. But that was when I started. I was working on a project that was an unmanned aircraft drone in today's terminology that was for the British Army. We had digital maps, we had thermal imaging cameras. I went out to the Mojave Desert to do testing, spent a lot of time down at Salisbury Plains doing testing. So very different from what I do now. After that, Eurofighter Typhoon, so I was the lead for the flight control software requirements. So I spent a lot of time in Germany working with the flight control system lead, then bringing those requirements back to us. We then wrote the software and developed the hardware for the flight control computers. And whenever I see, either on the news or an air show or wherever, those Typhoons going off, the hairs stand up on the back of my hand.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I did that. There's part of me in every one of those aircraft.
That's amazing. So when did you make the transition from kind of working on business deliverables to kind of infrastructure?
IT. So that was probably about 20 years ago. To my time on Eurofighter was coming to an end. We had a big IT project coming called Desktop Relife that was to replace every single PC within the company. So all of those old Windows NT beige Dells with a little 3¼ inch floppy drives on them.
Yeah.
Replace all of those with nice new HP PCs, nice black ones. So all look very different. On Windows.
And we should talk about the scale of your environment as well, because that projects like that, were massive, and also you've got multiple sub environments as well, haven't you?
Yes. So I was the program manager for our Rochester site at the time. It was about 2,500 people then. The program across the UK was probably 25,000 people at that time. But the whole program was looking at all of the apps that everybody used, getting everybody onto the same version of MATLAB and Pro Engineer and all of those engineering tools, as well as the same version of Windows with centralized builds, centralized Office and all that sort of stuff. a lot of the time was chasing down people who had very bizarre software, saying, you're not going to use that anymore, you're going to use this version the same as everybody else. So that was quite some challenge. And beyond that was then my introduction into IT. I then stayed within what we called retained IT. So perhaps I'd explain about how IT works. A lot of our IT is outsourced. We have some pretty large contracts from the UK to a couple of fairly well-known suppliers, DXE, Capgemini, to run the majority of our IT. Retained IT is about making sure that what they're doing is not just what the contract says, but what do we actually need.
That's something that I think I've seen quite a few finance houses do that, and it seems like it might seem from an outside like an odd thing to do. Like we've both outsourced the need and we have an in-house team to help manage that. But I've always seen it work incredibly well to keep the partners tightly engaged and on track with the business needs, and that there's something about having an in-house team keeping everybody honest about what needs to be delivered and why, that I've seen work really well.
And we've been doing it 25 years now, so it must work. And part of my time in retained IT became the interface between the Rochester site and shared services, so the enterprise IT department. And ultimately I got sort of asked, do I want to go, rather than being out in the business, come into the centre in the shared service IT. That was about 14 years ago. And that's where I am now. My role has changed dramatically from being the service manager for video conferencing and mobile phones to all of collaboration with people working for me. Not that I enjoy people working for me, but I enjoy the people who work for me, but the act of having to do performance reviews.
Managing is different to yeah. I'm with you on that.
You have to do it. And most recently to become the team's product owner with an agile squad, an agile backlog, Azure DevOps, and all that sort of stuff.
So let's zero in on that last bit of that journey from managing phone, and you were obviously a very prem heavy shop, to going. Well, I guess Skype would be a good place to start. Was that the first move? Was it from telephony to Skype for Business?
So PBX the majority of PBX moved into Link telephony. We were the first people onto Vodafone's Vonem platform. So it, hosted by Vodafone, it was Link. We had 40,000 phone numbers within that Link environment, which then became Skype, Skype for Business. And that move from the phone on the desk to phones on your laptop, that was a long time ago, but I still remember the pain that we went through. People, a phone on your hand, a phone on your desk was something that you always had, and it was almost a status symbol to have your own phone with your own phone number.
Yeah.
To then giving it up and having a headset. I don't want to look like I work in a call centre, but today, everybody wants telephony on their laptop. Nobody wants a phone on their desk. I've got a phone number. I don't know what it is. I don't care. Everybody, you click on a name, don't you? Even on your mobile, you don't phone a number, you phone a name. So that was 8-9 years ago when we moved from PBXs to Link. Then came along Teams. We moved from Skype to Teams at the back end of 24. And you love this stat. Our pilot move from Skype to Teams was 3,500 people.
Yeah, I love 3,500 people as a pilot. So we'll just try it with 3,500 people and see how it goes. So
the 3,500 people, that's how shared services, you've got to do it to yourself first, don't you?
Yeah, it's a great way to understand it. I know way better.
And then you go.
So by this point, what's the total number of users? Because you've grown over this time as well.
Yeah, so there've been some fairly significant defence contracts. Our business has grown significantly. We're up to about 65,000 E5s within our tenant at the moment.
Yeah.
And not everyone's active. So from a Teams point of view, about 41,000 people are regularly, within the last 7 days, they've done something in Teams. So it's a big chunk of users who are very heavy Teams users.
Yeah.
Doing lots of minutes. So I'm going to come out with the favourite stat I've got. Thirds of 1 billion minutes of audio in Teams last year, and that's on net. PSTN minutes was about 9 million minutes of PSTN.
That is a heavily used environment. It's really interesting. Yeah. And how was the rest of the journey from Skype to Teams then? You did your 3,500 pilot, because you've got lots of countries, lots of different coverage. I know you went to telephony to OC where you could as well.
Yeah, so we made the decision that Operator Connect was the right answer for us a couple of years ago now. We don't have the need for regulatory recording or anything like that. Our help desk is in AWS anyway, so we just wanted the simple Operator Connect. It works for us, the price is right, easy. Somebody else manages all of the infrastructure for us. Don't have to do anything. So we are, I think we've got Operator Connect telephony in 11 countries. One of those being the UK, which is where the bulk of our numbers are. We've got users in a lot more countries than that. There are certain countries where we struggle to get any sort of telephony. The Middle East is the obvious one. There are some companies now doing telephony in like Saudi Arabia, but it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I'm waiting for lots of other people to say, actually, we want some of that, so the price comes down for everybody. But at the moment, it looks like we're going to be one of the first to have telephony through Teams in some Middle East countries.
Amazing. And was it, like you mentioned, what a cultural shift it was moving from desk phone to link? Comparatively, how was the journey from Skype to Teams? Because I know you've got a lot of internal processes and stuff, but it felt like from that pilot it went fairly fast.
It did. So I think by the 20th of January, the majority of people were in Teams. So yeah, get the Christmas holiday out of the way, and then right, you're off and running now. We kept Skype running in parallel for a little bit. Our first Teams didn't have the telephony. So we did the chat and the on-net calling. Telephony happened March time, I think. It's such a long time ago now. But that was interesting. So we ported all of the numbers from Vodafone through to Gamma, who then redirected them back to Vodafone. So the numbers, that took a bit of a divert for a little while. And then one Friday morning, we moved 45,000 numbers from the Vodafone Skype environment into our Teams environment. That's
quite a high-pressure morning.
Yeah. There were several people running PowerShell scripts because it takes 3 seconds per user to assign the phone number to them. And when you've got 45, it takes a while.
Yeah.
So, and we did that one Friday morning. It had to be done in hours, really. Plenty of notice to the business.
Yeah.
Ready, steady, go. One ticket at the end of the day. And that was a SIP trunk fault that Gamma themselves had to fix. There were no incidents from anybody that we had to fix or that we'd caused. That was probably the best thing about it. It was the disruption to users. We knew it was coming, but nobody was left without a phone number.
Amazing. That's quite an amazing transformation. And talk to us about the video and room side, because that was your responsibility as well. Did that stay with you all through this journey?
Yeah. So let's go back to 2020. Lockdown. Remember lockdown? So we used to have a number of poly HDX video conferencing rooms that Poly announced end of support for these things. And we go, right, okay, what comes next? We're not quite ready for Teams, but Teams rooms are the logical answer.
Yeah.
So lockdown happened, which to some extent is really inconvenient, but in other extent, it means that people aren't in meeting rooms. So you can go in and rip them apart and reinstall new stuff because there's nobody to interfere with what we're trying to do. The estate did change. So we quickly discovered during lockdown that, and we had some amazing coincidences, like we just bought all the infrastructure to upgrade our VPN service, which meant we could put that in parallel, and all of a sudden we could manage we went from like 4,000 people was the size of the service, so we could do 40,000 people. That was pure coincidence that the infrastructure was there ready to install. As a business, I think we discovered that actually we could carry on working with people remote. And I mentioned my 1/3 billion minutes last year on Skype in between June 2020 and June 2021. We did 1 billion minutes on Skype. You can't meet face to face, so everyone was using Skype.
Yeah.
And come the end of the June, when my 12 months were up, I was going, I want this to be 1 billion, and we just broke over the 1 billion minutes.
Were you just having internal meetings, like really long meetings?
I want to please have more meetings. Yeah, 1 billion minutes. But yeah, so the Teams rooms was we'd never done Microsoft Teams rooms before. Our AV partner, they had some experience. Part of the US business was doing it. The UK business wasn't. So it was a quite a journey for us to move into that cloud managed. You know, we're a defense company. We don't do cloud. If there's an on-prem answer, then that's your answer. But there isn't on-prem answers anymore. So we're like having to rethink a lot of policies, lots of retraining of people. Remember, this is on cloud.
And the business obviously wants security, but they also want the cloud scale and agility these days. So it's like you want it all, don't you? And it's the things, as we've said, things chop and change so often. That cloud scale, providing it is secure and compliant, is so flexible. The
cost of obsolescence program is, cloud fixes all of that.
Yeah,
along with bringing all sorts of other concerns and complexities. Export control is an interesting one. The cloud, there's no such thing as a cloud. It's just somebody else's computer. But where is that computer? Which country?
Yeah, it's very important to you where that computer is.
And are you by sharing a document, are you now exporting it to the US because that's where the Microsoft server is? So lots of not retraining of people, but educating on how things work and what that now means. To us.
So what does the rooms estate look like today then? Because that's all under your team as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's all managed by a third-party company. They have engineers dedicated to us who are SC cleared. They're on our network using our laptops, our accounts and everything. Managing 180 rooms, all in the UK at the moment. And we've been doing that since 21. Last year was an interesting year because our CEO, all of his first line said, CEO's got his own Teams room. I want one now. So along that floor in our head office, there's now the CEO and all of his first line. They've all got their own Teams rooms.
Own rooms. Yeah, nice.
Which it's always a bit worrying when the CEO of a multi-billion-pound international company is using the stuff that you're responsible for.
Better work.
Yeah. The time I discovered he was having a Zoom call with President Zelensky was a little bit nerve-wracking, yes. Fortunately, the biggest concern on the day was what pictures were going to be hung on the wall behind him, not whether the technology was going to work.
Well, so, that means the technology's winning. If you're not the problem, then life is good. Yes. Like there's no praise for everything working, but no tickets is winning in IT.
that was one of the first things I was told when I moved into IT. You'll never get any thanks, but if anything ever goes wrong, oh boy, will you know about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely no news is good news. Yeah.
So talk me through, we've talked about this before, but for the pod, like the journey from going to a managed server-based product where you guys dictated the patching timelines and everything else, and to a cloud evergreen, always moving service, because for a defence company, that's a jump.
It is, yeah. So we are Windows Teams rooms. So we've effectively got 180 extra PCs with, although we've defined them all exactly the same, they might have different screens, different cameras, but the build should be one of two builds because we've got two different flavours. But they're all different. They've all got slightly different drivers on them. It's all out of our control. It always worries change control people, because we're not going to. We used to say with HDX is new version of firmware on Friday afternoon. Mark's going to remotely push out that one firmware to all devices. He'll be finished by 7:00, tested, done. That's it. Now, every minute of every day of every week, there's something happening to change these devices, and there's nothing we can do. We do now have a standard change within change control that says, we're going to do a big update to the Teams app or the Windows app, the Windows operating system. But that concept of it's just going to update itself took some time for people to get their heads around.
And the same in the phone and the service. Like not all the changes are client side either. The service is obviously ever evolving.
So the Yorktel that are managing our Teams rooms and our phones, the constant. We've just tested 9.3.1 on the phones, and Teams Admin Center started pushing it out. We've only had it in test for like a week, so it's constant change.
And what does that look like between you, your team, and your partners? Is there? It sounds like there's a lot of comms back and forth, and I guess the wider M365 team as well.
Yes. So I spend a lot of time talking to Yorktel. They're a great company. I'm not going to plug them or anything. They are a great company to work with. Some of the people who work there used to work in BAE, so they understand what we're about, which is really important. Yes, there's a constant, probably my top two Teams chats, two people from Yorktel.
Yeah.
It's constant, have you seen this? This is happening. I'm doing this now. Or I haven't got purchase order for this. It's everything technical, it's non-technical, it's contractual. Everything seems to come through me at the moment.
And how's the business side coped with more of an evergreen service in terms of features and functionality, or have they not noticed so much?
So I don't think they've noticed. It's sort of the sort of sorry, we've got to take it all away and update it. It's sort of disappeared, and nobody said, "Oh, hang on a minute, you haven't taken it down to do an update."
Yeah.
So that cloud is evergreen. Again, like we said, it's just working, therefore nobody's made a comment about it. But the other thing you mentioned then is about the other M365 teams. All things Teams is me, and all things collaboration, so email and WebEx and things all sort of come under me. But I also seem to have the role of being Chief Microsoft message center coordinator using this wonderful product, Tom. I don't know if you've heard of it, Change Pilot.
I might have heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. So all of the changes come in, and I said, right, we're going to look at our Teams ones, and everyone else, there's your things. Oh, nobody's looking at Copilot. Right, we don't have a product owner for Copilot at the moment. We're just using chat. So, okay, I'll pick up Copilot. There's not a lot in Copilot chat for us to look at. Well, what about Loop? We better have a look at Loop and Viva. So, starting to look at more and more of those Microsoft 365 services, solutions, whatever you want to call them, capabilities.
It's really common that ends up with the person who owns Teams or M365.
Yeah.
It's like it's whatever's the leading service, and like the pace of change. Teams has been the leading product for change up until Copilot, so it's natural the Teams person leans into that change management challenge.
I noticed December Teams wasn't top, Copilot was top.
Yeah. It's taken that long to flip Teams, and a lot of the team stuff in the last sort of 6 to 8 months has been security and fundamentals, all good stuff. But whereas Copilot has been, different models, different bits and pieces.
It's where Teams was like 4 years ago. It's that
totally
big bang new features coming in. Yeah. We do have several other product owners. We've got one specifically for SharePoint. So we've got a lot of SharePoint on-prem.
All right.
Nothing online other than Microsoft forces you to have some bits. So he's got a big team, and they were going, cloud.
Kind of the journey you went on a few years ago when you went Skype server to Teams, the same thing.
They're going,
They've got data and probably custom web parts and all that fun stuff to deal with.
Yep. Hang on, we can't be putting this data in the cloud, so we can have to have some on-prem and on cloud. And we've got so much data. Are we going to move it all for everybody, or are we going to say nope, it stays on-prem and that becomes read-only, and you get a new site on online? And we've got another product team that's looking specifically at all things tenant related. So Azure, Entra side of things. And so they've got plenty to be looking at. We've got an old tenant that we need to shut down. All of my Teams rooms are managed by that old tenant. The accounts are running to the new tenant, so needs a bit of a plan for how do I take them off there. But you can't move them. You've got a factory reset.
Yeah.
Start again, but that means taking a room offline. So let's get a spare NUC. Let's build that. Let's take that to site. Quick swap. Oh, Polly, in the meantime, I've said you can't have GC8s anymore. You've got to go for TC10s, which means you can't use the old NUCs anymore. So there's quite a big program of work coming up to not just move them from one tenant to the new tenant, but then do an obsolescence update on those rooms as well, all whilst maintaining those rooms operational as much as possible.
Yeah.
But we've only got 180 meeting rooms. I know there are companies smaller than us with way more rooms than us.
It's still enough that may make a project, and you guys are a 24/7 operation as well, aren't you? So there's that to consider.
Yes, yeah. I don't work 24/7. We do have operations teams. They do on call, but in my team service, we've got people in Australia, which is the furthest east, and we've got people in Canada and America. So we're not far off being operational 24 hours a day. And we've got people in Malaysia, we've got people in Saudi, so we've got the Sunday to Thursday working week. So gone are my days of being able to do updates on a Sunday. That's working day for Saudi.
Yeah.
It starts to make your contact centres expensive, because when it's let's do 7 till 7 in the UK, you can cover that with a few people. But when you need to do overnight and the weekends, and I know people time off, it suddenly goes from 3 people to you need 8 people.
Yeah.
And that, it's a big increase in cost. We are yet to go there. We are still 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. UK time. Sev 1, Sev 2 incidents we will respond to on the weekend, and if we can get on-call people in to fix it, we will do. But yeah, it's a challenge that is only going to get worse.
Yeah, well, as
more
these
defence contracts that come in,
as these services become more and more important, and Teams obviously being a comm service sits at the centre of a lot of that world. It's it's one of those services that people do rely on and notice instantly if it's not working. Obviously,
yes. So when the network goes down, Cloudflare goes down, power failures, whatever, it's Teams that people notice and say Teams is not working.
Yeah,
actually, Teams is working.
You can't get to it.
You can't get to it. Yeah. So one of the stats I've done for last year is looked at the number of incidents that were raised against Teams that were justifiable against Teams, and it wasn't a network outage, and we had 10 tickets on Teams, so took all of those out. So we had what worked out an average of 1 ticket for every 10 people within the business across the whole year. That's not per month, that's across the entirety of last year, which I don't know what Microsoft say should be a number. But again, I was quite pleased with 1 ticket between 10 people. And of those, 2/3 were, how do I do this? Why haven't I got a phone number?
Right, so they're questions, not service issues.
Questions. So you can see like the resolution codes and how many are first call fixes, and user training is the resolution code. About 2/3 of them were user training. So then if you want to look at it, it's even better statistics of people who actually have problems. And most of that is to do with licensing. Use it or lose it. You go on maternity leave or offline for whatever for 3 months. Your account gets disabled, your E5 license disappears, you come back, it all gets put on. Oh, you haven't got your old phone number anymore.
Oh, right, yeah, because you've recycled.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because that doesn't come back automatically because it gets dropped back into a pool that could have been reused. So there's been some interesting challenges that only after a year of running it that we've realised some of these things.
And how have you found, like in your personal kind of experience, moving from managing more prem products to more cloud products? Because like it's a different level of change and data flow and people you need to talk to. So
probably the biggest change is the number of events that are available for me to go to that are now relevant again. So, things like the UC Expo and Commsverse and user groups and all sorts of things like that suddenly become really relevant and really useful. And I don't know, there might be Microsoft webinars and things that we've started to catch up again. So it's all relevant.
Yeah, you're back. You're on the cloud platform, so the changes are relevant to you again. That's interesting.
There's lots of knowledge out there that is here and there, rather than hang on a minute, I need to find an article that somebody wrote 5 years about Skype. That there are no experts anymore.
Yeah.
So when we upgraded Skype to 2019 a few years ago, the company that actually did it for Vodafone, they actually got somebody out of retirement to come back and support the team to do that upgrade. That's how scarce those skills had become.
Yeah.
We've had him back since again because I don't know, he topping up his pension, whatever he's doing, he keeps coming back, keeps seeing his name there. But yeah, it's refreshing to be doing the same as everybody else.
That's good to know. Awesome. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for sharing your journey story. It's a fascinating environment and some amazing numbers of both kind of speed of migration and usage. It's really impressive. And I'll see you at whatever the next user group is, no doubt.
Indeed. Thanks very much.
Thanks.